point into our simulated countdown.
Lunchtime, kids! All right! Hello, friends. It's lunchtime.
Welcome to Lunch Break Show. I am Josh. We're here in studio. With me is Anna and Matt. Hope you guys are having a phenomenal Monday. We're starting off the show with special guest Libs and Deborah. Liz and Deborah, I apologize, with the Millennial Life Counseling. Now, yeah, you guys having a good day?
It's been great so far. Happy to be here.
Are y'all NFL fans by any chance? Because this was the kickoff for the NFL.
It didn't go so well,
Did not go well. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the Cowboy game.
Let's not.
I got over it. It was weird. I have a son. I had a son last year, but he was like 5 or 6 months old. So, but now he's like old enough to like be able to like see what daddy's doing. And so I was like, I had to like after the loss, I had to kind of like regroup. I took a lap around the house. You know what? I have a son. It's not bedtime for another like hour or so. So I have to kind of like pull it together and let's go read some books and have some happy moments. So he's not like every time the Cowboys lose, stay away from dad.
When are you going to get him into football, or how are you going to introduce him to watching sports on a Sunday?
Ooh, I don't know. For me, it's just like it was on. So Sunday, if you wanted to hang out, and we only had one TV in the house. If you wanted to watch TV, you had to watch football. So that was me. Of course, in our house, we have like 4 or 5 TVs, and he'll be having a little iPad, I'm sure, somewhere. So the entertainment won't be in one room.
He's got options.
He's got options. So there's a great chance he'll be like his mom and not be into football at all.
Not having it.
Yeah, not having it. So, which is fine for me as long as he's not like rooting against me. Then we're cool. Yeah, if he became like a Giants fan, that'd be tough.
Might be finding a new house.
Yeah. It's cold out there on the streets. So millennial life coaching is a phenomenal, like a fascinating idea and concept. What makes millennial counseling different than ordinary everyday life counseling?
Sure. Well, our group practice here in Dallas primarily focuses on that millennial generation. So they're currently in their mid-late 20s and 30s. And what I think sets us apart from other group practices is that we really have taken it upon ourselves to explore the research, really get to know this generation and some of those impacts and effects of being this age in this generation. You know, every generation has their thing, has their story. And so we really just specialize on this one and really knowing the ins and outs of what childhood has been like for them, just recurrent themes and stuff like that. So I think, all the therapists here, we all have different specialties, so to speak, but the general goal and mission of our practice is just to help millennial couples, individuals, and families have epic marriages, relationships, and lives. So that is sort of the stuff we focus on, a lot of that relationship stuff.
So all 3 of us, Zach, Anna, and I, were all married, and we're all millennial, right? Even you,
Well,
Matt?
Zach is not married.
Oh, sorry, Anna, Matt, and I. But we're all married.
I'm technically millennial, yes. I'm literally on the cusp.
Are you 81, 82?
82.
Yeah,
82.
you're right there in the cutoff, basically.
So y'all guys feel like y'all's relationships are different than like your parents' relationships, more of the boomer age or even the late Gen X? To y'all guys.
Like,
because I know mine is. My parents' relationship was totally different than the way, and even my wife and her parents.
Well, in what way? Like, I'm trying
Right.
to, like, yeah.
Well, like the way we interact, the way that we communicate, the way that we deal with problems, the way that we deal with stress, the way that, in every capacity, it's a different relationship. My mom and dad had each other, and they didn't have the influences of social media, didn't have the influences of, multiple cable, like the different things, I think, to distract from your relationship. Is that, that's something that I would see as being a true thing. You had to really focus on what you guys were doing, because if it was, when it was awkward between my mom and the dad, the whole house knew it was awkward between my mom and my dad.
Right.
What's interesting too is my husband's actually Generation X, so he's 40, so kind of past the cusp, and I'm a millennial myself, and so like yes, I completely resonate with some of the things that you're saying. Like I'm social media is big for our generation, and my husband he doesn't really use social media at all, but anyways.
Well, I definitely have noticed a difference. My wife is just a little bit younger than me. I mean, 4 years younger than me, but even that difference is noticeable because she spends a lot more time on her phone than, and I don't know, maybe that's just a function of me and she's not interested in it's a whole other conversation. But no, I think it's been that way from the beginning. She's more attached to social media and her phone and people that she interacts with online than I am. And I'm comfortable with it, but I don't, and I would use it. I use it more than my parents did, but I don't use it as much as she does. So yeah, I wonder if that difference in lifestyle when it comes to how you engage with social media, how you engage with technology is a factor. I mean, I can only imagine how big of a difference it is for you with a husband who was older than even I am. So I can only imagine how big the difference is there.
Yes, absolutely.
It's really amazing because I think when it comes to relationships especially, there are going to be some things that really always stay the same, beyond whatever generation you came from, just things about relating to other people that will always be there. But then there are things that are just so radically different from one generation to the next. And I mean, the biggest thing I'm hearing we're talking about now is the social media and technology thing, which hands down is one of the biggest things about this generation that I think has changed relationships. I mean, now for the first time ever, you can be cheating on your spouse while laying next to them in bed.
Yay for technology! It's true. Yeah, it's true. It's one of those deals. Another one that seems to be at least attributed to the millennial generation is a shorter attention span.
Totally. Sure.
And so how does that affect relationships and jobs and different things?
Well, so there's that, and I'm actually thinking about too your story with your little kiddo too, and how you said when you grew up, there was like one TV, one option, but for him, there's maybe 5 TVs on in the house and the iPad, and that just speaks to what so many people have recognized about the millennial generation and the choice paradox that they have grown up with. There's so many options now. There's so many ways you can find a relationship. There's so many ways you can connect with people, friends, whatever. In any way. And so how are you supposed to find the right thing, the right person, the right job? We place these really high expectations on ourselves, I think, to find those things. And it can be really hard when you feel like you're not having that, and can lead to lots and lots of anxiety, depression. I mean, y'all probably know the term FOMO. We see so much FOMO in our offices, whether people are single, married, dating, whatever. You can meet a great relationship and have FOMO. That happened to me.
Yeah, and even in career-wise, I remember my parents' generation being, you decide a career, you're in that route, and that's it. You're set for life. And nowadays, our generation is kind of a bit more facing, is this what I want to be doing? Is this fulfilling my whole potential? So there's a lot of questions that people weren't posing themselves that now. It's hard sometimes to talk to my parents, and even though they are very understanding, there are some things that they'll never get. Right. So it is important to be in the same path.
And that notion kind of coincides with even like the divorce. So we were talking earlier about, how normalized divorce is. But so with millennial generation, we were taught, hey, you reach what's that slogan, like you reach for the moon, you'll land somewhere among the stars, or the grass is greener than the other side. So like previous generations, they married to stay together forever. But the millennial generation, what we were taught is that like something can be better, right? Whatever, it can always be better. We can be happier. We can, we deserve more. And so a lot of the millennial generation, you know, you see that a lot come up. It's like, I'm not happy. I want something better, so I'm out.
Do you think that's an attitude that should change? I mean, I don't know if you want to make a value judgment on whether a generation should change the way they look at things, but I also think that it could lead to situations where, well, you don't want to put in the work. You know, I mean, the reason why some people stay married, they get through the hard times and they put in the work, and maybe it was just for the kids for a while, but afterwards they worked it out or something. And I find it hard to argue that that's worse than jumping from relationship to relationship or
I think it's a very relevant question. I feel like one of the things about this particular generation is that they are kind of like redefiners. You know, they are redefining so much. You know, marriage is kind of being redefined in some ways, because it's like Deborah's saying, you know, people aren't necessarily divorcing even because they're unhappy, but it's just because they know they could be happier. We're always, you know, reaching for that next highlight. And I think to your question, it really does boil down to what are the people's, you know, values, what drives them, what do they believe in. And we do not tell people what their values are going to be or what they should be, but we help them explore that, because maybe that is something that they've thought about, but then, you know, they've ended up in this relationship. I mean, I've worked with plenty of couples too where they came in together and ended a marriage but started a different one with the same person. You know, it's just about kind of reconstructing what it is they're working at here. Because you're right, I think people do, you know, we still maybe are in some ways living according to like old textbook rules that really don't apply anymore. And so people need to figure out what does apply and what brings them meaning and what do they believe in. And that might be marriage and that might not be, you know.
That's a super scary concept, because the grass, like I said, the grass is always greener. And one of the things I kind of talk about is like the white knight syndrome. Whenever you're first with someone, you know, you're clean shaven, you're the best representation of who you are. You know, everything is clean and well done. In your car, I remember being in college, and before a date I would take my truck and like get it washed, and like, you know, it was all everything was like thought through. And then after, like, you know, I've been married 9+ years, however long it is. I've been married that long. Like, you know, we go out on a date, I'm not like washing the car beforehand. I'm like, this shirt's clean. Yeah, sure, we'll go. You know, it's one of
just
those
like pulling all the trash out of the passenger seat as she gets in.
You're fine. Come on. Yeah, so it's one of those kind of deals. Like, yeah, when you're not in that like white knight thing, that's not sustainable. You can't do that forever. I mean, maybe you should try harder, but it's one of those deals that, you know, you always try to impress your mate. You always try to, you know, be the best representation. But there's always going to be someone out there who's you know, that back to the beginning when you're super excited to see each other again, you know, but after time that does naturally kind of fade away, which is where the love keeps you together. So if you're saying that as a society we're going to where it's like, I'm happy, but I could be happier. Well, you could always be happier. Like, you know, you could find someone who's going to be that stage one butterflies process, which some people love, but you can't. That's not long-term success.
Right. Trying to chase that is just trying to chase a fix, pretty much is what that is, because it does fade. It's supposed to fade. But I think, you know, you're right. Like, if you want a relationship to last long-term in today's world, you've got to be able to find those ways to cherish it and to still chase your mate, even if you've already got them. But if you think like, well, I've already got them, I don't need to try. Yeah, you're screwed.
I think about that a lot because my wife introduced me to this concept of house clothes, which are clothes that you only wear in the house. There's like house clothes.
Really? You didn't know about this?
I didn't know about this.
Wow.
Yeah, I always just wore whatever I had on. Yeah, silly me. I didn't change into my house clothes. But my house clothes are like gym shorts and a T-shirt.
What do you mean? Like, this is a thing that you should be doing or should not be doing?
It's a concept that she likes.
Okay.
That they're clothes that you're on when you're on like the couch and stuff.
Yes.
It's house clothes in the house. So but you can't wear your house clothes outside of the house.
I do that all the time.
No, sir.
I've broken that rule.
Sir, shame on all of you. You wear your house clothes only when you're inside. So the outside germs, they stay. They
give
stay.
me a break.
No. They stay outside.
Important question here.
Yeah.
Do you take your shoes off when you get in the house?
I didn't up until my kid was born.
And now what's changed? Because he
touches and puts everything in his mouth.
Yes.
My wife was like, "Were you in a bathroom today?" Well, Yes. Shoes off.
I love it.
Well, hold
So-
on.
Yeah,
For this concept to work, do you have like a changing room before you get into the house proper
No,
to
no,
change
no.
into
So
the
just
house?
strip
shoes. So shoes.
you
Yeah,
get
I
in.
walk through the house clean.
Yeah.
No, you take off your shoes and you leave them in the garage.
I get that.
And then you go as soon as you can, like, hello, kid, hello, wife. And then you go into the room and then you put on your house. First
I do
step.
that-
Oh,
I do
sorry,
that for
wash
comfort's
hands.
sake.
Sorry, dear. Wash
Yeah.
hands, then house. That's what the deal is. But, like, man, I always hear, like, I watch a lot of Queer Eye. And they talk
I
about
love it.
yeah,
So
phenomenal
good.
show. And they talk about always like whenever you're like lounging around the house, like you want to be impressive. Well, while that show was on, I'm like in gym shorts and a t-shirt, going, well, I don't look impressive. So now I have to find like nice house clothes to wear.
Yeah.
It's the whole process.
Well, my husband Diego, he is into the sweatpants moment. He never wore sweatpants when he was living in the UK, neither in Ireland, neither in France. And he was introduced into the concept when he moved to the US.
Welcome to America.
Oh yeah, like
elastic waist, yes, sir.
I gotta say, when it's Sunday and it's gray, he's like, it's sweatpants. And though he puts them on and he's the happiest man alive.
But your
honestly.
husband looks like a model, so anything that he puts on would pull off. I wear sweatpants. I'm like a bum. He probably has like those like nice like
To be honest,
designer
he did
joggers.
Not designer, but they're like Zara or whatever. But
Yeah,
they
okay.
look
Yeah.
really stylish. I'm like, you
Yeah.
sure?
That's not house
But
clothes.
it's comfortable. It is comfortable, everybody. It's
not, I'm
sweatpants
rolling.
category. Who's saying?
Yeah, my Target brand sweatpants that are tapered at the bottom because I'm always walking the ends of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I roll. Yeah, so. Well, guys, thanks so much for coming on. If people have questions or comments about how they want to interact with you guys about helping out with their millennial relationships, whether that's work, job, or family, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh, well, I'll tell you. Okay.
Yeah.
You can get a hold of any of us on millenniallifecounseling.com.
Okay.
And yeah, we have a great team member working with us that will take all the phone calls, all the emails, and help set you up with whatever you might need. And we would love to work with anybody in the area.
Well, we'd love to have you guys back on
Yeah,
sometime
sure.
soon. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming in.
Thanks
you.
so much.
Okay, quick break. When we come back, we have Sarah Strackhouse in with the news. And we are back live. I was busy sending a reply via the chat on Facebook. If you have a comment on Facebook, please feel free to put it below in the comments. You're more than happy to answer, just like I did with an emoji. The waving emoji.
It's a very effective reply.
That's why it took me so long, because I have a hard time navigating the emojis.
So much to choose from.
Yeah, it is a complex thing. Sarah, welcome in. So you're going to be bringing us the news.
Yes.
What's going on?
All right, so Hurricane Florence has been intensifying through the day. It is now strengthened to a Category 4 storm. It would give you a little reference. It was 2 this morning, and now all of a sudden it's a 4. It's nearing the Carolinas and mid-Atlantic coast, and Fox News reports as of noon it was about 580 miles south of Bermuda and had winds near 130 miles per hour. Coastal states are preparing, going through their emergency preparedness systems, and as some reports are saying that it'll be the most intense storm the Carolinas have seen in decades, and will remain, quote, an extremely dangerous major hurricane through Thursday.
Hurricanes always freak me out. My brother lives in Charlotte. I'm like, why would you ever live there?
Yeah, but see, that's what I thought about Texas, because I was through hurricanes all the time in New Jersey, Hurricane Sandy, but then I came down here and I was like, what do you do against a tornado?
Nothing.
Buckle down. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so that scared me moving down here.
But see, the thing about tornadoes that are like, a hurricane is a tornado with water. So not only are we going to blow your house down, we're going to fill it with water as well. It's just it's a double whammy.
I was always more scared of tornadoes because I grew up with hurricanes.
Well, and me growing up watching American movies, I moved to Texas and I was like, where is everyone's like basement kind of like tornado protection
thing?
I kept waiting, and then everyone's like, no, because of the type of soil that you can't like.
It's hard to
build.
dig in. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, what? How do you do it? And I said, oh, bathrooms. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you get in your cast iron tub, you hold a mattress down, you're safe.
You know, I gotta say though, that would not fit myself, my husband, and my 2 dogs.
Hey, you got to make tough choices.
So it'd be me and the dog. No,
you and the dogs. Yeah.
I love my husband.
That's the right choice.
He's 6'5". He could withstand, right?
Yeah, I can stand there.
Yeah.
Take it.
Lock stuff off. All right, moving on. A Dallas police officer was arrested last night on a manslaughter charge after fatally shooting a man in his apartment Thursday night. CNN reports the officer, 30-year-old Amber Geiger, was coming home from a long shift and mistakenly thought the apartment was hers. The 26-year-old who was shot, Botham Jean, I hope I'm saying his name right, died at the hospital, and is now his mother is saying she believes race may have been a factor in the shooting since Jean was black and the officer is white. Texas Rangers are investigating and have not yet released exactly what happened once she got to the apartment, and I don't know if there was some sort of altercation. It's still very vague, all those details. They also have not released the results of the blood and alcohol test, and I hope by saying that I'm not insinuating that she was drunk or intoxicated or anything like that, but they did say that they have been running those tests. They have not released that information as well.
There's a lot of
question marks.
On the story. Some reports that she was banging on the door trying to get in. A lot of different things that I hope kind of come to we understand more about what happened. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. And I was reading that they didn't have any kind of prior knowledge of each other or relationship. It just seems very bizarre. A lot of outpouring of love for this 26-year-old, but
sad.
But I'll be honest. I mean, in our apartment complex, twice already. One time like 2 in the morning, and another one like at 5 p.m. on a Saturday. Someone tried to get in the house because they just thought they got into the wrong level, and they just kept on trying to open it. And we lock our door all the time anyway, even if we're in. And, if we had not locked it, we'd have people coming in and just like storming through. So it's not that weird.
No, I
get
that.
It open.
Yeah, I get that idea for sure.
I just don't know how it goes from that to now I'm shooting someone. Like, is that not an immediate walk in and think, none of this looks like my apartment?
But there was an article that I read. I don't know how long ago that was, but it said something that the lights were off and he was watching TV, and that's why she didn't immediately recognize. But to be honest, I mean, I've been to units within my own building. Like, it's completely different. The furniture would have some sort of shade throughout. The light of the TV is just.
It's a lot of question marks.
Questions, yeah. All right, well, moving on, a Louisiana mayor is saying no Nike purchases for recreational programs in his city. This comes after the ad campaign featuring Colin Kaepernick, of course. Fox News reports the memo said, quote, under no circumstances, end quote, can any Nike apparel or equipment be, quote, purchased for use or delivery. So the mayor's office has not responded to inquiries about the memo. Another private Christian college in Missouri has also announced something similar, saying they're no longer going to wear Nike. Stock did take a slight dip initially, but sales of Nike products are actually up right now.
Yeah, they said they're up 81%. I just checked the stock price because I was hoping for another small tank so I could buy
real
it.
quick.
Yeah, but yeah, no, they're kind of holding
Sales are up,
steady.
yeah.
Yeah, they're holding steady at around 79 or 80. They were at 81 before they, so it's not really a huge dip or a huge talk. Yeah, it's one of those. I don't understand.
They said sales are up, so I don't know how much.
So people are going out and buying them, but the stock price,
I think, has leveled out.
It'll leveled out. Yeah. I'm always curious, like, what do you think you're going to achieve? Now, if this was like a bigger, like, if the state of California or the state of Texas or New York said, hey, statewide, that would set
That'd be a big deal.
That would set it. But like some small Christian university saying something, some small town.
I imagine it's to keep people happy that are,
in that area.
I assume that he thinks, at least as far as this mayor is concerned, that he thinks that it'll speak to his constituents in a way that will, make them happy or something like that. Or the Christian colleges hearing people saying, we don't support this or whatever, I don't know that they
moral high ground.
Yeah, I don't know that they think that they're going to make a dent in Nike's. I can't imagine the city of, Kenner, Louisiana, was buying that many Nikes to break them.
Not.
But I assume it's a political statement more than anything.
Yeah. All right, another quick little story before we get into our kicker. The first Miss America crown was given without the contestant having to wear a swimsuit, getting in the swimsuit competition. CBS News reports Miss New York, Nia Imani Franklin, won the title Sunday night in Atlantic City and said that she was glad she didn't have to do the bikini contest because it meant she could eat a little bit more food. I just thought about that and I was like, oh my gosh, poor thing. The swimsuit competition was switched out for interviews this year. So
how are the interviews?
They brought up a lot of things ranging from the president to NFL. I didn't sit down and watch all of them, but there was a lot of political talk.
Because it seems like they always have those, and there's always one poor girl from like South Dakota
just doesn't understand the question,
who got put on the spot, and either because she was so nervous, misheard.
Right.
Who was the one that had a hard time? Like I know her thing for helping kids would like buy them globes,
buy them maps.
Yeah,
maps.
Yeah.
Because they don't know where the Middle East is.
The Middle East is. Yeah. I say buy them a map. Anyway, sorry.
It's interesting. I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, it's one of those.
That's good. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's one of those. Again, it's not like I'm not insinuating that they're not intelligent. I think it's a lot of being put on the spot, not hearing the question because you're so nervous.
Yeah. And
then it's a live television show, and you get asked a question. That would happen to me more times than not.
Right.
You ask me a question like that, I'm like I don't know.
I mean, I always think back to Miss Congeniality when she gets asked what the perfect date is, and she says like, April 26th or whatever she says, May 26th. She's like, not too cold and not too hot.
Oh, these.
Yeah.
All right, let's.
So here we go.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. Or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future.
Mario Lopez's
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
Did you see his face throughout that?
Yeah. Again, that is one of those where it's like you got caught up and then you're like, oh man, I messed up and I'm trying to dig myself out of it.
I have no idea where to go from here.
Yeah, and you're just making it worse. If you just stopped, that would have been better.
Yeah, these such
Been like,
as.
and such
Like
as.
such as
The Iraqs.
the Iraq,
The Iraqs and
Yeah.
U.S. Americans.
Yeah. So tough.
I personally believe that. I wouldn't want to do that.
No, I wouldn't want to answer a question, a quick question like that either. I mean, I wouldn't have to want to think on the spot, but I don't know.
Hard.
Quite the answer.
Something difficult.
Well, moving on, our kicker, a man has been arrested after high-speed car chase on a runway in Paris. So CBS News reports a man rammed his car through glass doors and then hopped on the international airport runway in Lyon this morning. He eventually went over a huge bump and ended up falling out of the car afterwards, and he was later tackled by law enforcement. But it was quite the event to get there. Right now his motive is unknown, but I don't know if he was just trying to be crazy, trying to race a plane or what. But
Beat it.
Yeah.
Beat it.
That happened here not too. Somebody drove onto, or a car chase ended on left field, and I always wonder like what the strategy is for that. Like, where are you gonna go once you get on the runway? Where are you gonna go? I don't
The
know.
only thing I can think of is air traffic control doesn't allow police helicopters in that area.
They just think he's gonna get away.
So if you think, hey, no, if I can get rid of Air One, and again, I'm sure there's some sort of protocol where Air One can go on there if they have to.
Right.
But in your mind, I watched Speed as a kid, and the LAPD couldn't go into the LAX area. So if that's the case, then I could just get past Air One, find a hangar, park, and then go on foot. This is it. If you want to escape, if you're on foot, you have a much higher chance of getting away than in the car. So find a hangar, get out, run. You have a much better shot at
The police cars just followed him onto Love Field, and at that point, you're the only idiot driving a Chevy Silverado around on the on the tarmac. Like you're not that hard to find. At that point.
And the what? That's why criminals
such as
get caught more often.
The
than
U.S.
not.
Americans.
Yes.
Yeah, U.S. Americans. Do you have to go somewhere right now? Can you stay around for one more
I'd
break?
love to.
I want to talk about the Serena Williams deal and you being an athlete.
Many opinions.
I want to tap into that. We're going to come right back real quick with the Serena Williams chat. Okay, and we are back. So this story broke over the weekend. I'm not sure what day the game was actually played on. It was either Friday or Saturday.
I think it might have been Saturday.
Saturday. And it was the Grand Slam, one of the biggest tournaments in tennis.
The U.S.
And I am going to completely botch her name. But Serena Williams was playing against. Anyone want to help me out here? Osaka. Thank you.
Naomi Osaka.
Naomi Osaka. She is 20 years old from Japan. This is her very first Grand Slam. First time anyone from Japan has won a Grand Slam. Kudos to her.
And Serena is her idol.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, and Serena is her idol.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe not anymore. But so just to give you the breakdown of kind of what happened, they were playing in the match. And there was a foul called for coaching, which if you're not familiar, that's when your coach is in the stands and he's giving you hand signals. I don't know how that would help, but
He just went like this, like go to the net. That's what he was saying. Just go to the net, I guess.
Yeah.
But he could have been talking. He could have been, And
well, he said,
yeah, I was doing it.
coaching. Yeah. So that is against the rules. So you get penalized. You lose the point for that because you got caught coaching in the middle of the game.
Because the first one's a warning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she got caught again.
Yeah.
So she got caught doing that. So she had to go. Oh, yeah. So then when she went up there, she slammed her racket, which I guess cost her another one.
It cost her a point. Yeah, it cost her a full point.
A full point for slamming the racket after she called the guy a thief for the referee a thief for taking that point away.
Yep.
That point led to the game being lost. And then she ended up losing. There was 2 more matches after that to complete the full set of games. You play best out of 5 or 7 or whatever it is.
They were playing best out of 3, but the point, I guess, after the second point, then like you said, she called him a thief, and he gave Osaka a full game. So there's a certain amount of games that make up a set. Each person.
They're doing best out of 3.
They're best out of 3 sets, women. But they only played 2, obviously, because Osaka won the first one fair and square. She won. I mean, she was an incredible player.
Yeah.
But the second one, I guess, they were tied 3-3, I think it was, and then the fourth, then she got the 4th game. The point made the 4th game, and then she got the 5th game. So then had 1 more game to win for the set, and a game is obviously 3 points.
Okay, so sorry, we're talking about different things. Yeah, I thought you meant they only had to play like 3, like to 40.
No, sorry. Yeah,
got it. Yes,
three,
so we're saying the same
sets,
thing. Yeah, okay. But that was part of it. A lot of tennis was still played. She lost a match or a game of that set to win.
Right.
But that was she afterwards. This is what I think the sad part was, is that she got upset, and I read the New York Post today, and they said the only person who stole anything was the joy out of Osaka. She was crying during the match. During the match, she was crying. The fans were booing her.
Mm-hmm.
It became a very really bad memory for her to win her first Grand Slam
against someone she idolizes. Against someone like that.
So the controversy kicks in after the match when Serena says this is about sexism in sports, and I've seen men do this and get by with it, but I'm getting penalized. That very well may be the case, and there have been other male tennis players who have come out and said I've said worse things than that and haven't gotten penalized. But where I stand on this, I'm going to be Seth Denson here for a second. Where I stand on this is that this is not a tennis, soccer, basketball, even football. There are certain flat-out rules that you can't do when you break them. But for the most part, every one of these games is a game where a referee is doing judgment. They're going to make a call based on what they feel, what they think, how they assume. I can't tell you how many times I get frustrated during a football or a soccer match when the exact same play happens, and one time it's a yellow card, other time it's no call at all, or a straight red. Like, it's all over the map. It can always be any different thing. And so when you're playing in a sport like that, and this is not Serena Williams' first attempt first time being called out for being loud or getting penalized or breaking rackets. And again, there are male tennis players who have done that. Famously would be who was the older guy from like the 80s?
Agassi?
Yeah, Agassi, yeah. He would break rackets and then chunk them and then get a new one out. Yeah. And whether or not they were called out for that is an irrelevant thing. I think there's plenty of times that Serena has done that and hasn't gotten called out for it. Certain times she has. Is there inconsistencies in the way that those are called? Probably. But that's not the time to bring it up. You lost a match both fair and square because you've already been beaten by her in the past. You were about to lose to her again for the Grand Slam. And instead of making this about how you lost a match and then what if I would have kept control of my temper or not got caught cheating, which the coach did say every single player gets coached during the game. That's a given. But that's the Bill Belichick excuse. Hey, I got caught cheating. Everyone cheats. Doesn't matter, Bill. You got caught. When you get caught, you have to pay the piper and go, you know what? Yeah. I knew what the rules were, and I still broke the rules, and there's consequences to that. Now, whether or not other people do it is irrelevant at that point in time for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I don't like about this is that she turned a conversation that should have been about better sportsmanship, should have been about how this girl is 20 years old and is about to light the tennis world on fire with her ability to play tennis, and it became this whole thing about feel sorry for me because I was cheated. When you weren't cheated, you weren't.
It just feels like at that stage of your career, and look, I mean, obviously she's there because she's a very fierce competitor.
Yeah.
And so you care about this stuff, and your adrenaline gets up or whatever, and when things don't go the way you think they should, I can understand being upset. But you still think that you would have the poise at that point in your career. I could understand this from a kid fresh out of high school or college and not knowing any better. But it feels to me like you've weathered so many storms. Calls have gone your way, calls have not gone your way. I don't know, keep it together. Like I don't understand why everybody could have a bad day though. So I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. It happens, but it's a shame.
My big thing was like as I was watching it, because I was sitting there with my husband, and we had similar views but different views. So I kept going back and forth because I mean I've been in game situations where obviously like I've never played professionally, but like I played competitive soccer forever, and like I've gotten a yellow card for my mouth or this or that or
you
no I think it was just it was like slide tackle or whatever it was, but it was like I've gotten like in trouble or like yelled at or this or that, and it is really hard to keep your cool in the heat of the moment. I think we all can know that you have said things or done things you're not very proud of, but I think the reason why she got the warning in the first place, I mean I don't think she should have gotten. Like you said, she cheated. She did break the rules, and that was my husband's point. Like she broke the rules. Like that happened, and he's like, but she is right that like they say far worse things. Thief is not a bad thing to call some. Like I mean,
but that goes into for that referee.
Yeah,
you call me a thief.
Yeah,
that could be like because my barometer of what's offensive is different than your barometer for what's offensive.
Absolutely.
So if I can be sitting there and you can call me anything but a child of God, and I would go, that's fine. I don't care. You haven't like physically threatened me.
Right.
Because she said before on a court, I'm going to shove this ball down your throat. So she has like promised physical violence before. She didn't go that route.
Yeah.
She just said you're a thief.
But I just did feel bad for her because I saw so much emotion. She was so upset about I didn't cheat it. I have a daughter. I would never do that. And then she was like, the men say so much worse. And like in the moment, I was like, I understand. Like I'm so sorry. That sucks. Da, da, da. But now that it's been a day, now that, you're thinking about it, and I watched the ending ceremonies and I watched like the quote that, what she was saying, and like Serena did at the end, like try to say, this, she's like, please stop booing. Like this is, she did say that. She's like, please understand that like this is about this incredible young player. Like, so she did try to give, credit where credit is due. But like, I do feel bad for the young, Osaka for getting kind of pulled into that. And they were both like crying on the court. And I started like getting emotional just watching it because I was like, this just sucks all around. It just I don't know.
It sucks for her to win that way because it had every showing of her winning outright.
She was a phenomenal athlete. That was the thing. She was out. Serena's a lot older than her. She's 20 years, 15-year difference. Yeah. Serena's what, 35 now?
Perhaps,
It just seemed to me like it was a teenager who got caught doing this, like smoking pot somewhere, and then you go, well, but John was doing it too. Yeah. He smokes way more than I do. Like, no, at that moment, to me, the thing to do is to stand up and say, you know what, I got caught. Yes, I acted out. Yes, there are consequences built into the rules that that were put on me by the book. That could be done. Now, I think a way that you take this out is you take out you're allowed to show expression. Where if you slam your book down, you slam your racket down, you don't get a point for that.
Then it has to be something like then the ref, because they pulled the referees on like multiple times, and like they talked to the sitting referee. Yeah. And it was like then it has to, like, the conversation moving forward for her should be then, okay, like, then everyone needs to be held to the same standard, because like that's not fair. I understand that. Like, but yes, you're right. She cheated. End of story. Yeah. She should have gotten penalized. Yeah. It is what it is. But moving forward, like, there has to be a level of equality in that regard.
So how do you do that in sports in general? You can't.
I mean, you can't, because refs are humans.
Umpires call strikes and balls differently for different players, different stadiums.
Same with soccer, you call fouls differently.
So that exists everywhere. It doesn't mean that it's sexism. It just exists in different places.
I agree with that. But words, I think you can pretty much make uniform. Like, if you're calling the judge a name, like whether it's thief, whether it's a curse word, whether it's a bad name, whether it's dummy, or whatever it is, that I think like that could be wrong. Yeah, that's not right. Like, I think that could be more uniform.
So if you argue at all a call, then you get penalized. So that's the only way.
Arguing, but like calling a name.
Because otherwise, if I say,
because a lot of the male players, they call them really bad names. I don't want to repeat them, but like. A lot of, like, especially in different languages. My husband and I were like looking them all up. Like, there's a lot of like bad names called to the referees, and I was like, why is this the only one that's getting penalized like this?
And there's definitely something there that needs to be addressed.
But
that's not the time And you're not the person. You're not the white knight for this crusade. Who again have done and said things that you're not a good advocate for this cause. You should have allowed her to enjoy her win. You should have done things a little bit differently as the veteran player, in my opinion.
Afterwards, I think she definitely felt a little bad because when she, like I said, when she had her speech on the podium, she was like, let's focus on Osaka.
I've already had my say. This is a clear, blatant sexism, and then now let's get back. Just to me, it just seemed a little bit
too little, too late.
It's a little too late for me. And again, it sucks because she's a fierce competitor, and her story is amazing. Coming up in Compton and playing tennis, and that's not where you hear about a lot of people from tennis coming from. And so her story is phenomenal. Her sister, her dad, the promoter, it is a cool story to hear. I just wish that that would have turned out a little bit different for her. During the game yesterday, I was like, will I get this? Will I get this? I was a little all over the place. In what I was thinking. So take a quick break. When we come back, we have another hot topic involving coffee and senior citizens. That and more coming up next on the Lunch Break Show. Back. I saw the story pop up on the news feed. Anna showed it to me. There's a Starbucks cafe. I want to see what Matt and Anna think about this.
All right.
I have a feeling what Matt's going to say, but I want to test my theories out. This is the how well do I know Matt Stoker game. A Starbucks is opening up, and it's going to be entirely operated by the elderly.
All right.
More info.
How elderly are we talking about here?
I mean, I'm guessing it's got to be senior citizens. I mean, you can't, you got to have a gap. I'm going to say 55 plus, 60.
That's not elderly, 55 plus.
55?
50 to 66 years old. I nailed it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have a hard time.
Older. I was hoping for 60, 67 plus.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have a hard time calling that elderly for one. But two, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'd have a problem with that. That doesn't seem. I don't know. I don't know that. It's one of those things where as long as they're competent, I don't know that I have a problem. However old you want to get with it, if it becomes an issue of every time I go to the Starbucks, my order's wrong or it takes a long time for whatever reason. This happens with regular Starbucks anyway. I'm just not going to go back there, I guess. Would probably be my answer. But 55 to 60 whatever.
Yeah, to 66. So this article it's on the Independent if you want to go find it, you can. It's super degrading. Like they've lowered shelves to prevent their employees from getting hurt. They it's like they go through all these steps. They seem like they're like these decrepit old people. That's why I thought it'd be much older.
Yeah.
But no, it's 55 to 66, and they found that there's a study out, I guess, that people have a hard time finding employment after the age of 40, which is why they've raised it to 50. Like, hey, if you're having a hard time at 40, it's got to be darn near impossible by the time you get to 50. So they put that in place.
I have something to say here.
Oh, please.
So in Portugal, customer-facing jobs like cashiers in supermarkets, stores, cafes, they're predominantly led by younger people. You never, unless it's someone that has been in the company probably for like 10, 20 years, you don't see elderly plus 40.
Wow.
So I do, like, in my head, I look at these articles, if you put it in Portugal's context, it's true. Then the UK, where the Independent, the newspaper is operated from, also not so much, but still they allow employment for the elder. I'm having trouble calling them for over 40s. You can see them in cashiers and in a lot of like public facing establishments.
Yeah.
And so in the US, I'm surprised by looking at this, because to be honest, I always see, you know, my local Kroger. There was this lady, she said, I came back from retirement because I was bored at home. And she had a job at American Airlines. She says, you know, I'm just bored. I just want to carry on doing things. So I'm really surprised about
this is taking place not in the U.S. This is taking place in Mexico City. I'm not sure
thought it was New Mexico.
No, is it New Mexico?
I thought so. That's
in Mexico City.
Okay.
Oh.
Stores in Mexico City.
Okay, all right.
So
yes.
I don't know if they maybe share some of the
that's the
same of the UK culture. When I was in Mexico City, I saw a lot of people who were, by this article, elderly, in their 50s and 60s, you know, doing different stuff. I wouldn't imagine they'd have a hard time finding some employment, and maybe that was the case. But I was hoping to take this story that these are going to be like a gag that they were doing, hiring like real senior citizens,
right,
who are like 70s plus, who are like trying to like as a game like figure out this like coffee shop thing, and like,
that would be interesting. Yeah,
and you would go more for the experience of like watching someone try to do like a zebra half calf or something.
Like what would that even mean?
Yeah.
Or a how do you call it? I'll remember. There's like a shape like a swan and stuff like that.
You're trying to do that. You're trying to order out. They can't hear you. That to me was when I was like, okay, Starbucks is doing this like really extravagant bit.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to get like, you know, you to go in to wait on your grandparents. Which again, it's always harder for me to yell at old people. So maybe that's a perk.
Yeah.
You know. Like I'm like, man, but you're
how old does someone have to be before you
stop
being
mad at
them?
Man,
they 50, just gotta look
50s,
old.
60s. Nah, 60s, 65 plus.
Okay,
got to be retirement age.
Okay,
if you're still working,
at that point you just let it go.
Let it go. Yeah.
But they do say on the article that they are trying to. So the specific Starbucks where this is happening is visited by a lot of young people. So they're trying to kind of like mix generations. I'm like, like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but at the same time, I mean, you know, you see that when there's like factory layoffs and stuff like that, a lot of people say, what am I going to be doing now? Because I've been doing the same job for like 30 years and now I don't know what to do. And I mean, it's fairly easy to train someone to do, because it's all about muscle memory. The swan situation is all about your wrist and how like you drop milk and stuff like that. So at some point,
can you do it?
I've never had training as a barista.
Oh, okay.
But like I was what do you call in the UK, front of house. So I was doing, you know, the till and stuff like that, the cashier. But I would see it and I'm like, well, it was just a busy place. I never got it. But yeah, I remember watching them train. They're like, you know, got to do this and like 1,000 times and then you'll get it.
Oh yeah.
So I think this is really good, and it's some kind of like a job that is a good transition. You still have customer service. I mean, like you talk to people. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Bad, right? Like,
no, it's a good concept. When I read the headline, I was hoping for more jokes, but really just kind of came out to be a super sad story about how people can't get jobs.
Yeah.
So, on that note, we're gonna take we'll leave you. We'll be back on Wednesday. This will be our last Wednesday show. We have a guest coming in. That's why we're having it. He's bringing in tequila. So we couldn't say
we
no
gotta
to
have that show.
Yeah, gotta have that show. So back on Wednesday right here at 12 o'clock on the Lunch Break Show. I am Josh, Anna, and Matt. Have a phenomenal day and take care of yourself.